Good morning everybody and welcome to this Blue Spire seminar, Making Tax Digital, what you need to know. So I'd like to welcome everybody in the room today and also anybody that is watching us live on the internet. My name's Katie Wilson, I'm a director here at Blue Spire and I'm going to be taking you through the first part of today's session. I'm then going to hand over to my colleague, fellow director, James O'Rourke, who's going to finish up the session for you. So James and I are both general practitioners here at Blue Spire, so we look after businesses, mainly owner-managed and individuals. We also have a large not-for-profit section, which is headed up by Jeff Frost, who's in the room today, and Jeff looks after charities, other not-for-profit organisations and pension funds. So why did we decide to do this seminar today? So in the course of our day-to-day business, when we're out meeting clients and talking to them on the phone, via email, we realised that actually quite a lot of people hadn't heard of Making Tax Digital. And those that had heard about it maybe had quite a patchy kind of understanding of what it might mean for you as businesses and individuals. So maybe there were a few myths and a few concerns as well among some of you. So we felt that as your accountants, it was really up to us to try and allay some of those fears and help you to understand what you need to do to get ready for Making Tax Digital, and hopefully we can help you to do that. One thing's for sure, Making Tax Digital is coming, so we need to all make sure that we are ready for it. Okay, so what we're going to actually talk about today. So I'm going to try and keep things really light. I'm not going to bog you down in too much legislation or accounting jargon. So I'm just going to give you a really high level view of what Making Tax Digital really means. I'm going to give you an update on the current position, so what we currently know and what it might mean for you. I'm going to take you, there's a bit of a clue here, I'm going to take you the key points of Making Tax Digital for VAT. VAT is the first tax to be digitalised. As I said, you might have heard a few things about Making Tax Digital, and I'm going to try and help you separate fact and fiction by going through a quick myth buster. I'm then going to hand over to James, who's our tech guru, and he's going to talk you through some software options and also talk to you about how we at Blue Spire might be able to support you in becoming compliant for Making Tax Digital. Okay, so what is Making Tax Digital? So somewhere in the depths of a government building somewhere, some no doubt strategic planning department got their heads together and thought, how can we make this UK tax system better to navigate, easier for people to understand, etc., and probably save a bit of money for us as well. So they came up with this vision. It was a vision to digitalise the UK tax system, and that is basically what we mean when we talk about Making Tax Digital. What it means in practice is that over the next few years, individuals, businesses, landlords are all going to need to use commercial software to keep their records and to report back to HMRC on a quarterly basis. And that process is going to start with VAT. Okay, so HMRC are pretty punchy in their ambitions with this. So they actually want to be the most technically advanced tax system in the world. So if any of you have actually dealt with HMRC recently, you might be thinking, yeah, right, how are they going to manage that? Well, I guess the only way they can improve is by embracing new technologies. So I guess we just all have to keep our fingers crossed and hope it does bring about changes, because at the moment, the UK tax system is pretty hard to navigate and it's very disjointed. What HMRC would tell you about Making Tax Digital is that they want to help businesses and individuals keep on top of their affairs, make sure that you are paying the right taxes. I think what we probably all know is actually it's about HMRC making sure that they get the taxes that they think that they're due. And this is something called the tax gap. So the tax gap is the difference between what HMRC think is due to the Exchequer and what they actually receive. And that's actually a really massive gap. So the last data available is for 15-16, and in 15-16, 9.4 billion was lost in avoidable taxpayer errors. And of this, over 3.5 billion was due to errors on VAT returns. So we're talking about really, really big sums, which is really the reason that HMRC are doing this. Also, it is going to be good for individuals and businesses because you're going to have a more integrated system to navigate. So the idea is that eventually there will be one integrated account for individuals and for businesses. So say you're a sole trader, you're going to have one account and you can look at all of your income tax, your NI, your VAT, all in one place. That doesn't exist yet, but they have started to roll this out by with the individual tax accounts. So I don't know if anyone here has actually logged into their own individual tax account as yet. Anyone? Helen, I knew you would have, Helen. Well done. So basically, everyone has actually got an individual tax account already. So you can go in through the gov.uk website and you can look at your tax code, you can look at what tax you've paid, NI, etc. So that is really the start of this process, certainly for the income tax side of things. So ultimately that is going to be good for us as individuals if it actually works, which I think it does sort of work, yeah. Finally, this is about tax in real time. So what that means is getting information in real time. So for you as individuals, you're going to have more of an idea of what taxes you have to pay at more regular intervals. And for HMRC, they're going to know what they're due at more regular intervals. So that's probably a good thing for everyone concerned, really. Okay, so that is a brief introduction to what Making Tax Digital is. Hopefully that sort of, if anyone is sitting there not knowing what it was, you now have a brief understanding of what it is. So where are we now with all of this? Okay, so Making Tax Digital for VAT legislation is in place. The primary legislation was in place in 2017 and the secondary legislation in 2018. What that means is it is part of law, and unless something quite major happens, it is going to happen. So Making Tax Digital for VAT, that is really what the focus of today's session, certainly what I'm going to talk about, is on, because that is concrete, that is going to happen. So it's mainly, well, it's not mainly, it is for businesses over the VAT threshold. So if your turnover is over £85,000, you will need to comply with Making Tax Digital for VAT. But what that means is that you will need to keep digital records, but only for VAT purposes at the moment. Obviously, if you run a business, you know that if you're keeping digital records for VAT purposes, you are actually going to be keeping VAT records for all purposes. So, you know, really, if you get this sorted, you're probably going to be all right for everything else. The start date for Making Tax Digital for VAT is the 1st of April 2019. So, you know, we've got a bit of time, but as we all know, time flies, so we need to get sorted now. The government have said that there is no plans to make any other taxes digital to at least 2020. I wouldn't be surprised if that gets further pushed back, because let's face it, the government have got quite a lot to worry about at the moment. So, you know, we'll see what happens with that. Couple of things just to note on this. This does apply to all businesses. It's not just limited companies. If you are over the VAT threshold and you're a sole trader or you're a charity or another organisation, you are within Making Tax Digital for VAT. So you know, there are no exemptions there. There are a few exemptions, but they are really narrow. They are things like if you can't use digital solutions for religious reasons, or you are in the Outer Hebrides and you can't get access to the internet. So, but they're really narrow and unlikely to apply to anyone in this room. So the government have committed to freeze the threshold of 85,000 until 2020. So that's good to know if maybe you're on the cusp. And also the 1st of April 2019 start means VAT period starting after the 1st of April 2019. So just to show you what that means in practice, so if you have a standard, what I call standard, which would be March, June, September, December quarters, the first quarter that you will need to be compliant is April, May, June 2019, because that's the first quarter after the 1st of April 2019. Okay, so a little bit more detail on making tax digital for VAT, because as we know, that is the one that we know is more than likely going to happen. I've already said it's only for businesses over the VAT threshold. However, if you're on the cusp and you register for VAT 1 year, and then the next year you go below, you're in. When you're in, you're in. There's no in, out, in, out. Once you're in for MTD, you're in, and that's it. So I think the reason that they've probably gone for VAT first is because most people already report quarterly for VAT, so we're already used to that quarterly cycle, so it's probably the easiest one to pick off. What it does mean is that digital record keeping is going to be integrated with the current quarterly reporting requirements. What does that actually mean? What that means is those 9 boxes on your VAT return, everything that goes into those 9 boxes, every transaction needs to be digitally recorded. And that is essentially what it means for all of you guys here that are VAT registered. The VAT portal, who here uses the VAT portal? Probably a couple of you, yeah. It's no longer going to be allowed if you are within MTD for VAT. You can no longer use that portal. So what you need to do is you need to upload directly from your accounting software or your compliant spreadsheet. So no more VAT portal, I'm afraid. If you're not within MTD for VAT, if you're below the threshold, it'll still be there, so you can still use it. So if you are within that group, you're all right. One thing to mention here, it possibly applies to a couple of you in the room, there are concessions for retailers. So for retailers, they may have thousands of transactions a day for sales, and HMRC have made a concession that says that you don't need to put every single transaction individually within a software system. You can group them by day totals and upload accordingly. So that's quite a good concession for anyone in here that is involved in retail. Okay, so now I'm going to go through my myth buster. So this is about things that I might have heard, the other people here at Blue Spire might have heard, and some things that maybe we've had fed back from clients as to some of probably the fears and thoughts about what making tax digital means. Okay, so there's been a bit of a fear that HMRC are going to use making tax digital to bring more people into VAT. Not true. As I said, HMRC have committed to keep the VAT threshold at £85,000 until at least 2020. They don't actually want to bring more people into VAT. Believe it or not, there was a review of the VAT system by the Office of Tax Simplification. Yes, it does exist. So, and that consultation did say that actually there would need to be a huge body of evidence to decrease that threshold. So there are no plans to decrease it at the moment. Actually, out of interest, we do have one of the highest thresholds in Europe for VAT. So I think that's all about keeping things simple and trying to keep as many people out of that system as possible. So if you are kind of, on the cusp of that and you're worried that you're going to be brought into that, don't worry, there are no plans to reduce that at the moment. Okay, so the second one. Now this is an interesting one, and this will actually apply to lots and lots of our clients that use spreadsheets rather than accounting software systems. So, and if I'm honest, I actually thought this was the case when I first heard about it. I thought, well, no one's going to be allowed to use spreadsheets anymore. Everyone's going to have to go to an accounting software system. Actually, that is not true. You can still use spreadsheets, but there's a but, and it's actually quite a big but. If you use spreadsheets, you need to use a bridging product on those spreadsheets to link with HMRC. You cannot just carry on using your spreadsheets. So HMRC are expecting software providers to come up with products that link spreadsheets to HMRC. There's also something called API-enabled spreadsheets, which basically means two systems that talk to each other. And HMRC has also offered for people to register with them as developers to enable access into their systems. Obviously, all of this is not going to be cheap, it's not going to be free. There will be a cost to these products. So I guess our advice is, if you're going to pay for bridging products, API products, you may as well just go for accounting software package, because it's going to be about the same price and you're going to get a lot more useful information out of it, and there's much less margin of error. Leading on from that, oh, that's okay because the free software is going to be available. No, not for VAT. So the government has made no commitment to offer free software for Making Tax Digital for VAT. And realistically, is the market really going to provide a free product? Probably not, because they're businesses and they want to make money. So I think that anything that the market does come up with is going to have a cost attached. However, the government has committed that there will be free software for the rollout of Making Tax Digital for income tax, but I think that that will be really just for the simplest of individuals. So again, we don't really know what that looks like yet, but I don't think it's going to be as extensive as some of you guys that are sole traders would require. With 4, paper records. Now, actually, a lot of our clients do still use paper records. So you might be thinking, oh, that's okay, because all I need to do is I need to get those paper records, I need to total them up every month, and I'm just going to bung them into a really cheap bit of software and done, job done. No, I'm afraid that is not going to be allowed either. And the reason is because what I said earlier, each and every transaction needs to be kept digitally. So, for example, if you receive an invoice from Blue Spire for some really good value accounting services, then you need to show that invoice separately within your accounting software package. So it needs to be shown as an individual item. You can't just total up with all your purchases at the end of the month, because obviously that is just, you know, that is basically, there's going to be a huge margin for error on that. So there are some exceptions, what HMRC call, if it's impossible, impractical, or unduly onerous to do so. Unlikely for anyone in this room, to be honest. And I don't even know what that would be, but I'm guessing there will be the odd person that can go with that. Okay, so next one. HMRC will receive a full download of all my transactions every quarter. Oh my goodness, this is going to be like Big Brother is watching. No. Actually, they're going to see exactly what they currently see. They are going to see the totals of those 9 boxes. What it does mean is that, and why they're doing it, is because it's going to reduce the likelihood of error. So if you're using the government portal, obviously you're getting your numbers from either your spreadsheet or your manual records or your accounting software, and you're taking them and you're going, right, now I'm going to type it in here. So just the likelihood of transposition error is quite high. So when you're uploading direct from an accounting software system, those errors are going to completely disappear. So, you know, that's the main reason they're doing it. Also, let's be honest, if there is a inquiry opened on your business, then it's going to make it loads easier for everyone really concerned, because all they're going to need is a download of your accounting software package or your spreadsheets, your compliance spreadsheets. So that's going to be, you know, hopefully take some time out of that for everybody. Okay, so just moving on from VAT, you've probably heard Making Tax Digital for Income Tax was originally due for rollout, I think last year. It's been pushed back to at least 2020. Some people are going, it's never going to happen, they're never going to do that. Well, chances are it's going to go ahead. Currently, the government are saying, no, it's going ahead. And I think the individual tax account is probably the start of that. So I think you shouldn't comfort yourselves thinking that this isn't going to happen, because currently the government are saying that yes, it is going to happen, but it will be April 2020 at the earliest. So we don't need to worry about it too much yet, but we will keep you informed as we know more on this. Okay, so my final myth. So if we're going to be reporting quarterly for all of our taxes, that means we're going to have to pay quarterly. No, don't worry. There are no plans to change the payment dates. So you will continue paying your income tax on 31st of Jan, 31st of July, your corporation tax when it's due. Obviously VAT, most of you pay it quarterly anyway, so there'll be no change there. So, no changes planned for the payment structure. So in terms of next steps for you guys, just before I hand you over to James, you need to be reviewing your system's capability. If your system, and when I say system, I don't just mean a computerised system, I mean, you know, if it's a manual system or spreadsheets, whatever, but you need to be looking at what you do and thinking about what adjustments you need to make to become compliant with MTD. If you're currently using spreadsheets, I would strongly suggest you look at moving to a software solution, because you're going to be compliant for MTD, but also you're going to get so much better management information out of it. If you're on the cusp of the VAT threshold, start looking at this now, because you don't want to be having to register for VAT and getting your head all around that and dealing with MTD at the same time. So it's probably worth getting ready now. Okay, that's me done. I'll pass over to James, who's going to talk you through software options and what we can do to help you.
Right, hi, it's James. Let's go through some of the software options where if you decide that this is what you want to do, you need to move, or to look at what you're currently using is not up to scratch. The traditional options are traditional desktop software, which many of you probably use. Sage Accounts is the most popular in the country by a long way. Sage Accounts from version 24 is going to be MTD compliant. There is a caveat to that though. It will require a monthly subscription. You either need to be on their new pricing model, which is a monthly subscription, or if you've already bought the latest version as a one-off fee, they've actually told me that they're going to start charging a small monthly fee for the module to do the Making Tax Digital. QuickBooks is already now moved on to a desktop version, is already now on a subscription model. That's Making Tax Digital compatible. And there's also many clients have bespoke software, perhaps they're in a specific manufacturing and they've bought this software and been using it for many years. You're going to have to talk to your provider of the software to ensure that they're on the ball with this, because spoke to a client recently that uses a very old DOS system. They're being told that it's going to work, they're going to have it ready. It's a very old system, it'd be difficult to see how they're going to get it to work. The other option, where everything seems to be going these days, is to look at cloud-based software. That's where most of these, even the older providers like Sage and QuickBooks, are trying to move most of their clients to. So I'm just going to run through cloud-based software, because many of you might not have seen it. So what is the cloud? Well, previously data was stored locally on your machines or on your servers, and that was quite expensive to maintain. You would have to buy servers, maintenance contracts, you'd have to have IT support. The server would probably need replacing every 4 or 5 years. The cloud, despite all of that, if your building was to burn down, you're only as good as your last backup and that you've taken off site. So cloud-based software basically outsources all that maintenance, all of that worry to multinational companies that have you know, multiple backups. They have they've got the infrastructure to offer a continuity of service. One of the other benefits of obviously being in the cloud is that you can access it from anywhere. So you're not just limited to using it in an office, or you're using it, you can access it wherever you are. So there's we're going to go through 5 ways that cloud software can benefit your business. I'm going to show you a demonstration with the aid of Ben in a second, which shows you how you can get your information more up to date with integration with banks that are also in the cloud and so on. One of the advantages of cloud software and internet-based software is that you can have multi-user access. Now, this was always available on the older desktop-type products, but it would be quite expensive to have one user. Software might be £500. To have 3 or 4 users become thousands. Even the basic cloud-based software, you can have. There's no real limit on how many users you have, and you can restrict the access that each user has to sections that you want. One of the further advantage of being online is that it's always backed up. You don't have to worry about anything like that. It's all dealt with them. Updates are free and instantaneously. They don't involve any downtime. No one's having to come out of the system because you're going to sit there and do an update on all the PCs or whatever. It's just done overnight and it's all ready to go. And because of that, obviously there's a reduced business costs and downtime. If you get the cloud, if you go full in with the cloud, it can also mean quite a lot less paperwork lying around the office, storage. All your invoices, sales, purchase invoices can all be stored in the cloud, off-site. You don't need files and files and files everywhere. We'll give you a demonstration on that in a second. Now, these are the cloud software providers that we are accredited in. Sage 1, which obviously a lot of you use Sage Desktop. Xero, which was probably the company that the first company into this. They're a New Zealand company. They're the ones that sort of were the first into the market. Free Agent, which is a Scottish company, and QuickBooks Online, an American company, which they're all quite similar in the way that they work. I'm going to focus a little bit on Xero. That's the one that we chose a couple of years ago to sort of work the most with. It was the most advanced at the time. The others have caught up quite a bit. But they all work pretty similar ways. All the features that I'm going to show you now, you can pretty much do on all of them. So I just wanted to focus on one because it's easier. Now, Xero, like all of them, you can access it from a PC or laptop as normal, tablet, and on your phone. So if you're sat on the beach and you want to give an update of what's going on in your bank, what sales you've raised, you can get on your tablet, you can get it up, have a look at what invoices you've raised while you've been sat on the beach. If you're a trader and you're out, you can raise an invoice quite easily from your phone, email it to your customer. If they've said you've done a really good job, then give them the invoice straight away. Who knows, you might get paid straight away rather than waiting to 2 weeks later and doing it. To just give you an idea of pricing, the pricing on all the products isn't massively different. They all have offers and 6 months half price and so on. I just wanted to give you for Xero, they have a small contractor price. Perhaps somebody raises one invoice to the same customer every month or one a week, £10 a month. The basic package, the one that's suitable for most people, £22 a month. There's a premium option which can handle multiple currencies, which is an extra £5.50 a month. That links into the exchange rates automatically on the internet every day. So when an invoice comes in, it will adjust the pricing for you and show it all correctly with the latest price. So now I'm going to give you a demonstration. There's the opening screen of the demo of Xero when you first log in each day. This is your dashboard, which I'll show you how to configure in a second. We've got your account watch list. These are expenses that you want to keep an eye on to see what's going on. You've got your bank balance, and I'll show you how that can be quite easily kept up to date every day. You've got your invoices that are owed to you. bills you need to pay. So if you could click on, for example, what would we say? Let's go through to invoices owed to you. You want to see which ones are overdue. You can click on there. Click on the overdue. These are the invoices that are owed to you, the due date. Now, if you wanted to go back, if you wanted to send them a statement to remind them that they're overdue, you can click on Send Statements. This has already been configured with their email addresses and addresses. You can either print statements, or if you want, you can email them. So if you select all of the customers, click email. That will then send a statement quite easily to all of those customers. Email statement with you can set it so it goes as a PDF, or you can go through it using the post. Now, again, if you go back to the dashboard, this can be configured how you like, laid out how you like. If you scroll down, if you click on the edit dashboard, you can move things around, add extra things depending on what you want to do. Now, if we go back to show you how to raise an invoice. So if you go to new sales invoice, this is just the basic screen. You can select as a customer, date of the invoice, the due date. That's it. That's right. And you can click on that, and if you set up that customer with like its standard 30 days terms, it would fill that in for you. Now, if you go to item, you can set up your products and so on. That's it. Now, if you go to preview, you can see how that invoice is laid out. Again, you can close. If you close that and then approve it, and it will give you the option to send that out to your customers. So again, this is all accessible from your phone or your tablet. So you can do this from wherever you are. Right. So I want to briefly show you how the purchases section works. So bills you need to pay. Again, if you click on the awaiting payment, these are the people that you owe some money. If you've paid a part of it, like on that one there, part of it's paid. You can use that to assess what you want to do. So you can also use this to raise purchase orders. If you go to the if you go back to purchases at the top left. Yeah, purchase, that's it. And then go new. If you want to raise a purchase order to someone, you can email that through. When the invoice comes in, you can turn it into an invoice, so it's already ready to go. So if we go back to the amounts then that we show that we owe the money, who we owe the money to. If we go to that Swanson Security and say that we decided to pay them, we've set them up on a payment for next week. So we choose the date that we're going to pay it, change which bank we want to pay it from, click Add Payment, and then we can immediately, at the top of the option there, look, we can send a remittance. If that was filled in with that the supplier's email address, put that in, send it. The supplier gets an email saying that they know they're going to get paid, so you can stop chasing you. Right. So the next thing, one of the things that really sets these systems apart is the bank feed, because a lot of the banks, you have the ability to link the system into a bank, and every day the bank transactions get pulled in. So every day you might only have a handful of transactions. You can almost do it on a daily basis. So if we go to the bank reconciliation section, these transactions here have been pulled in directly from the bank. Now the system automatically tries to match it up, like where we set that Swanson Security payment just now. It's matched that up with that payment we've set up, so we can OK that's cleared. It will also match it up if you haven't set that payment up, as I was described, and it sees the money going out. It will automatically try and guess that that's for that invoice anyway. So it will give you the option. For example, on this one, it's seen that this money's coming in from Whichway University, and it's automatically matched it up with the invoice that was on our trade debtors list that we just showed you. So again, all I do is click OK. That's now clear. If we look at this payment here for that bank to Smart Agency, the system's not automatically picked up that's an invoice that's outstanding. So what in those instances, you just simply click on match. If you type in the name of the supplier or the supplier, you see there's two invoices outstanding, one for 2000, one for 2050. Tick tick. If there's a difference, because for whatever reason you can click split, but in this case it's fine. Click OK. That your ledger's up to date. So if you don't have too many bank transactions, there's no reason why your debtors, your creditors, and your bank can't be up to date fairly promptly. You might have noticed you can set discussion topics on here if you're not sure what it's for, so that your advisor, one of the benefits of these cloud systems is it's easy to add a cloud advisor such as ourselves. As a user, you can ring us up and we can instantly get in. There's no hassle. We can see what's going on and help you. You might know, some of the eagle-eyed people amongst you might notice that this Swanston security payment the system hasn't automatically matched it up, and that's because, as we realised this morning, the payment is a penny different. The invoice was a penny different. So in that case, again, just type in Swan. That's that payment we just set up. If I hadn't set that payment up, that would still be there, but as an invoice instead, an outstanding invoice. So we could just put through a minor difference of a penny of a bank fee just to get the reconciliation correct. And that's that then clear. So now that's just a brief idea, sales, purchases, how the bank can work. I just wanted to give you an outline of how the reporting system works. So you might want to create a P&L or a report that you can issue to have a look at. So if I wanted to run a profit and loss account, for example, the reports on this are so much easier to edit than legacy systems. If I go to profit and loss account and run the report, here's a basic P&L for this company for the current financial year. Quite clean and easy. I can export that to Excel or Google Sheets or as a PDF quite simply. I can save it as a custom report, or I can save it as a published report that's then fixed. Now if I want to edit this report, to change it around into a layout that I prefer, simply click on the edit button. It brings up a template such as this. Say, for example, as an example, I want to merge my travel costs and my motor costs. I want to call it motor and travel, just as an example. All I have to do is drag that down, write motor expenses, motor and travel, and then I can quickly just drag those other travel costs. At the moment they're in alphabetical order, but once you've saved this, it will always come back in the same option. Click it to there, click it to there. Now if I don't want them split, all I have to do is click the arrow there and it will minimise them. So now motor and travel will show on that report as a separate, and if I want a deeper analysis, all I have to do is click that arrow. I just could show you how if you want to add a comparative to that report. So you can click on the arrow, click on the date, add it's a financial year. We'll change it to the previous year, 2018. And if I want to have a variance, so I can show the percentage change, I can add formulas, I can add budgets and so on. From the budget information you can enter separately. So I'll just put in a formula, as Ben's doing now, last year minus this year. And then done. We can change that title separately. It's in the name box that's below. Yep, variance, and then done. And if you click done, that will run that report. So you can there's so many default reports, but it's quite easy to play around with them and come up with something that you prefer. Right. Typical. Did I update it? It will come back. There you go. That's the first time I've ever seen that fail, typically. Right, so now I just want to quickly show like what an age report looks like. So if you want to look at age creditors to see who you've got to pay, it's the age payables details. Again, you've got a standard report here. It's got the amount that you owe to the people, the due dates, which you can change this how you want it. You can have it by changing on the report settings. There's lots of options. But if you can notice here, you've got the invoice reference from the supplier in there, which enables you to pay it quickly because you've got the reference there to hand. Right, so that's just a brief outline of how Xero works. One of the main add-ons that we use. Xero's got many add-ons and that you can add. One of the most popular ones, and one of the ones that we've found the most useful and the most to make things a lot more efficient, is a system called Receipt Bank, which Ben's going to log into for me now. Because it's over here, isn't it? Have you logged it? Oh no, you can just go up to the browser at the top. Just do it up there, it's fine. Now, Receipt Bank is another cloud-bit element of software which uses octuple character recognition to read a lot of the information off of invoices. Now, you can send invoices to it using an email address. You can upload them directly to the website. There's an app on your telephone, so if you're out on the road, you get an expense. You don't have to keep them anymore. You upload it using this Receipt Bank system, and it follows through to here. What it means is your invoices are kept in the cloud. You don't need to keep piles of invoices anymore, and it pushes the invoices through to Xero. So if you're doing any analysis on Xero or Sage 1 or QuickBooks or whatever one you want to use, it's my full email address for that one. Yeah, so it enables you to, it just means a lot less paperwork lying around. I'll just show you how this works. So, practice management at the top. I'm just going to show you this is our login because there's no demo available for here. So here's some invoices that we have been emailed in or they've been scanned in. We've got you can set up a dedicated email address such as invoices at whatever name your company is, and you have it forward it straight to here. So your suppliers don't even know. The invoices can come through to this system. Now, if you click on that invoice that's come in there from Calibre, which is our telephone systems provider, the invoice there is all clear on the left. It's read it optically, and it's picked out some certain information. It's picked out the supplier, Calibre Network. It's picked out the date of the invoice. It's picked up the invoice number, which follows through to your age creditors report. So this is all information you no longer need to enter. Now, if you click on, you can set rules up for each supplier. So if you click on the rules, that Calibre Communications, the rule for that particular supplier is that they provide our telephone and fax, that the invoice date is due after 30 days, and the description is Office Telecoms. That information will then get pushed through to Xero. It's already there, so you don't have to enter it. You set that rule up, it's done. If you're feeling brave, you can set it to auto-publish, and the invoice will just go straight through to your accounting software. So that particular invoice is actually because we finished leasing our equipment at no charge, just a lot of money to buy it off of them. But which I thought was a bit cheeky. But yeah, so now if you could go through to our log out of that Xero. If you click, no, go back to sorry, my fault. If you go to Receipt Bank and click Publish on that, that's then going to publish that through to Xero. That's a statement from someone else. So if you can log out of that, I'm just going to show you how that shows up on our purchase ledger. Now I've set up a separate account under my name, just that as I told you about how different of our users can have different access rights. This user's just got access rights to our purchase ledger. So that invoice, will hopefully be showing in here under bills awaiting approval, which is there. So we've pushed that through. So how we've got this set up is that you can push it through there, and one of Katie or ourselves have to approve the invoice. Now, so all you have to do is click on that. You can see that the reference number, the invoice number's there, the due date, it's all filled in. If you click on that invoice on 0, if I click to the can you show the PDF of the invoice? It's there on the screen. So that instantly means that if I'm like, oh, why my admin costs? Why is my entertaining costs? You can pick up these invoices and view it for yourself almost straight away. So the benefits of this cloud system is that, you know, it just takes away quite a bit of stress and paperwork. It's quite good running the invoices through the photocopier and then just throw them in the bin. You don't need them anymore. So, right, that's the end of the demonstration. Okay, so how can we help? We can be involved as much or as little as you like. You've seen that it can be quite straightforward. We offer a service to clients where we just help them move over to whatever software they decide to use, and we can make sure everything's up and running right at the beginning, and be on the phone if you need us, because we have quite a few accredited people with knowledge of the software here. Or we can, if you decide to move from a legacy system like Sage accounts or QuickBooks desktop versions, we have a software that enables us to import all the data over to these cloud systems. So your debtors, your creditors, your bank, everything's already there, ready to go. So the next day, it's an overnight process, but in the morning, you'll be ready to start invoicing on your new system. One of the benefits of working in the cloud is obviously how remote it is. With your bank feed set up, your sales invoices already on the system, with your purchase invoices on that receipt bank system, all in the cloud, you can outsource. You know, we're quite happy to help you for small businesses to do a lot of the paperwork for you, and you can concentrate on running your businesses and leave that to us. We would, in those instances, we agree like a monthly fee, and because we've done a lot of the bookkeeping, we can sort of talk about reducing the price of doing the year-end accounts and stuff like that, because we've done a lot of the work. We've got every single piece of paper we need here. So, do you guys have any questions? I guess for Katie and me, there wasn't any.
Any questions, guys?
Yeah, I've got one thing. Our circumstances, I think we're already set up in this system, aren't we?
You are, Kate. Yeah.
So I can walk away and just leave it all to you.
Yeah, yeah.
You can be very smug in the knowledge that you are.
Okay.
Yeah, well looked after.
You're already completely compliant, Kate.
For those people that haven't used Receipt Bank before, I've got to say, as far as we're concerned, it's brilliant, because we do actually, I'm quite bad at this, my wife's quite good, we do actually get our receipts, scan them, send them on the phone, and the only time that we get a call or an email from Jen is to say, that's slightly unreadable, can you send it again? But in general terms, it just makes that so much easier. Yeah. So even if you only use Receipt Bank.
Yeah. I think you can see when you take the picture on the phone, you see it before you submit it. So it works really well. Clients, especially, imagine if you're a builder or something, you're used to having to keep a lot of scraps of paper on the front on the van somewhere. It's a godsend to them, because they can just go and forget about it.
Yes, Jenny.
Does the receipt bank cost extra?
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah. If we're involved in the price of doing, if we're involved in doing the work for you, we sort of work it into the price of what's going on. You can buy it separately yourselves, by talking directly to Receipt Bank, or we can come to. We can go do that work for you, but normally it's something like, I can't remember the last time it was something like £10 a month, and it was like £10 for every 100 invoice, something like that. So that is a cost, but we tend to with our clients, because we get a bigger discount, we sort of like we merge it into the price. We don't specify it separately. No invoicing?
No, we don't have any invoicing.
Right.
We have a till.
You have a till, so the money that comes in daily?
Card machine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, for those systems, right, first of all, there's lots of add-ons for lots of different... so if you're in retail or whatever, you can buy a specific add-on that perhaps will talk to your tills and pull the information in. If it's separate, in that instance, where you're not raising like separate sales invoices, you've got daily takings or what at...
Well, a pint of beer, I think.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Yeah, pint of beer. What we because we do a number of pubs and on the system, we do have to do in those instances. We have to keep the daily tells on a separate sheet. That's why with Making Tax Digital there is a sort of a concession for it. So what we do is we have a reconciliation account for the clients that we do that, where we take what comes off for the till, we take what was banked, we take what was off the petty cash, and then we reconcile it and see what the difference is.
Do you have a sales system, Bob? Do you have is there like something that backs up at your sales, or is it literally just have like a till with a till
Yeah.
roll? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And you do a branch return.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, how that's
Similarly, on the creditor side, we collect all the invoices coming in
Mhm.
for the month,
Mhm.
yeah.
total amount, and pay them by fax.
Yeah.
We don't copy anything into
Any
just
system,
a
no.
list of-
Well, I think going forward, because of the new rules, certainly every day your totals will have to be on a system like this, so that you can submit your VAT return. Now, these systems, they have the ability to import a CSV or Excel file. So all you would have to do is have set up a spreadsheet in the format. They have template with the date, the amount you've banked that day, and then you could do it on a weekly basis and import it.
We do that now anyway.
Yeah,
You
then
do-
you'd be
do it.
fine. But you would need to, certainly for the purchases, they would need to be individually recorded going
Yeah.
forward, I'm afraid.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
Nightmare.
yeah.
I mean, it is a big change for a lot of
We've got
businesses.
30 deliveries a month
Yeah.
from 10 suppliers.
Mm.
So what do? You pay on a statement then, do you? Or
I check them all, get a statement, tick them off. One figure goes into the computer.
right,
Yeah.
right. Well, that's what these rules were about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
What?
yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
Doesn't work.
Sorry.
Digitalisation.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Matthew.
Yeah, obviously we've got three businesses, the furniture store, the funerals and the self-storage. And they've
Yeah.
bought their own applications
Mhm.
and then we dispatch process the invoices into open accounts.
Yeah.
So will we have to find some sort of integration between all those systems and the main accounting software to show that all the transactions that have gone through?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you sort of bring it all into a sort of central system.
Yeah.
What at the moment you just paste it weekly or monthly or something. You take those the figures from those systems and just post it in a batch.
Yeah.
Batch process.
I think that would probably be okay because you are recording digitally.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think we'd have to have a bit of a think about that actually.
We'll have a think about it for you, and we will talk to.
Yeah.
But you might need to go to your software provider because I'm sure they've had a few phone calls about how is this going to be recorded. How does this work with Making Tax Digital?
So you have three individual.
Sales ledgers,
Yeah,
and all
okay.
that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's all bespoke to those industries.
Yeah, sure.
And then we just post across the
Yeah, because you.
totals.
Yeah, I mean.
And it's also partial exemption included
Yeah.
in that, which makes it even more difficult. As well.
Yeah, so with partial exemption, you can do the calculations outside of the accounting system if you want to, which is obviously that's probably what you already
Yes,
do.
we do, yeah.
But you do need to just record those digitally, which is probably no different to what you already do.
So
there is a little bit of
you're
leeway
going to be.
on that.
It's going to be difficult for you. So we do need to help you, I think, or you need to look into it because the option of the website is no longer going to be there. So you're not going to be able to pull the information together and just sort of
Put it in.
add it up on a calculator and put it in. It's going to have to be the system's going to have to click send and it go to HMRC. So this is where these bespoke spreadsheet systems. That's what HMRC, if it offered a concession to them, that might be what that's for more than someone who's just keeping all their transactions on a spreadsheet because they don't want to buy.
Do you currently bring the three systems into a spreadsheet and then use that to upload?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So so there might be something there, but you will need to
That's why we're
have
having
a
the
look at
meeting.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why we're
yeah,
having this,
yeah. Anybody else?
I've got one.
Oh, Jeff, go on then.
You're talking earlier about the threshold you
No.
have to do that.
No.
You can go on, carry on with the old
You can
one.
carry on with using the portal, yeah. So the portal will still exist, yeah. So you're okay
But
if you're voluntarily
but as
registered.
soon as you go over the 85,
You're
then
in.
you have to change.
You're in, and then you're in for the duration, yeah, in for life.
I've got a question. Within our setup, we have various departments that we would need to take into consideration. Can Zero deal with this?
Yes, it can, yeah. Should we bring that up and show you that? If we go to... if you look on this invoice here, where's the cursor? Right, so there, isn't it? We've got these offices set up. So we've got an office here, Brighton, Chichester, and we can configure that, and you can generate reports based on that. So if this particular office, this cost is actually, because we've got 2 telephone systems, 1 in each office. So that would be a global cost, and then I'll click approve. If I wanted to run a P&L or whatever by department, I can do that. You can set it up by, there's actually, you can go to, not from this login. Perhaps if I go to the down. I'd have to log in, but yeah, no, that you can set up by multiple tracking options. We've got offices set up there to keep costs of the offices, so the wages and everything get posted. That works for journals as well. This option here, this is useful here because I know that's the invoice that came in from Receipt Bank, so I can visualize, I can bring that up fully. But I know it's on there on the left. But also, if you wanted to add any other documents, like say you were selling some guarantees, selling windows, and you've got a 5-year guarantee, and you wanted to keep all that documents, you can add any files into there, and you can do that for any transactions. So you can add Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PDFs, whatever you want in there. So again, it's in the cloud, it's backed up, it's stored. You don't have to worry about keeping it, and you can easily dig down and find it because if there was 5 or 6 documents there, all I have to do is upload the information, upload whatever files I want.
So, using this system, people can authorise invoices using the system. So, if you've got multiple users, you have lots of people, and just give them.
That's right. Yeah, no, we use. Funny enough, we use that as well. There's an add-on for Xero called Approval Max, which we use, and a couple of our clients use it. Basically, you can set for which suppliers who gets the email saying to approve it or not. A separate email comes through from Approval Max, which comes up through as an email. That you don't have to give them access to Xero, but you can do, just like the purchase ledger, and they can approve it from the email itself. So you can keep on top of it that way. Currently, Katie and I both, if an invoice gets through to that approval screen, Katie and I both get an email, and either of us can approve it. But yeah, you can set that up so that if you've got a marketing manager and you're dealing with Google AdWords or whatever, you can set that up so Google gets sent to one individual, so they can approve it from their phone or from wherever they want. That's £27 a month, that one.
Yeah. What an invoice needs to be portioned to 3 departments?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, you can just add a line, and you can change it and split it that way. You can do that from Receipt Bank itself as well. It's quite difficult to do it that way. Can you do it? Oh, it's on the other screen, isn't it? Shall I get out of the way? Yeah, so you can edit line items down here, and split it out. Now, if you go close that a second, I'll just show you our photocopy of how we do that. So if you scroll up, go to archive. Oh no, I didn't mean archive. Sorry, the archive at the top there. Type in RICOH, R-I-C-O-H. And pull up. This is our photocopier invoice. If you click on that and scroll to the bottom. Now this one, the supplier rule. Click on the supplier rules actually. Click on. Oh, there isn't one. Close that. I thought we set this up. Scroll to the bottom though, and you can see that Must be. Was that the latest one? Scroll back up. Click. Go to archive. You can set up rules on this so it splits it out, and you can you can do it on here. So try that 662 one, the top one. And scroll down. Yeah. So you can set this up so it automatically does it. So Chichester, this is our printing costs. It's split between the two offices. So you can do that from an invoice. You can set up defaults so that if a regular invoice comes in, it just does it automatically. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to think too much about it.
Okay.
Sorry, this screen here is where if sorry, keep it in the way. If you click on the project, that's where you can. Again, that goes back to the office's screen. So that will get information gets pushed through to Xero or whatever system you Sage or whatever. Because like I say, I keep saying Xero, but they all do quite a lot of similar stuff. Xero's one that we're most au fait with, though.
Sorry, I've got another question.
Oh, that's fine.
We're obviously a charity, we deal with restricted funds, so we have to obviously account for those in an ideal way. How does Xero deal with those?
Good job, John's here. John.
Put me on the spot with that one. Now, my limited understanding of Xero, because I don't deal with it a lot, is there is a limitation you can slice two ways. You've got like the departmental analysis, like your areas of operation. But my understanding is there isn't that tertiary element to be able to go the third way with your funds. But I can look into that for you and just investigate which the best method is.
Yeah.
But yeah, for you guys, that's quite crucial to be able to do both your operational areas, so you can simplify your nominal code structure, and then look at it again in terms of funds as well. To be able to
I'll have a look for you as well, because like I say, if you go to do a search for Xero Marketplace add-ons. If Xero doesn't do it, perhaps Sage does it, or what
Sage, the current version.
It does it, yeah. But that was quite relatively, that was a recent development in Sage. It's like 5 years ago, and these are sort of probably not quite as advanced just yet. So there it is. Sorry, my fault.
Yeah, I am.
And you, in order to get to have the same model that you've got professional memory, and they will initially quote you £125 a month.
Right.
But you can probably come down to the middle tier, which is actually £60 a month.
Yeah, we take it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But that's looking at the desktop versions, isn't it? I mean, for instance, if we wanted to then go to the cloud-based system, this is an ideal way to sort this out now before we actually make a decision as to which way we then go. We need to ensure that the system that we get is also going to future-proof what we're doing as well.
indeed.
So I think we need to have a bit of a conversation
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
as to which way we need to go for this.
Yeah,
So-
we'll look in. We'll help. We'll
We'll
look
take
into
that
it.
one offline.
Yeah. This is the market. These are all the add-ons that you can get. You can link them in for Xero. There's lots of EPOS systems and stuff like that are out there that link directly to it. Got a chiropractor practice that's got a dedicated system for looking after their clients that links directly to Xero, that you don't have to. So they just put it on there and it all flows through. So maybe there's a charity option in here. We'd have to have a look into it. But
Hey, Helen.
We looked at Xero a while ago,
Yeah.
And obviously, like yours, in construction, we've got certain intricacies of our own industry, which at the time, Xero didn't do CIS.
yeah, it does now. Yeah,
It does. Yeah.
Any further forward.
Yeah.
it does. It does it perfectly, actually.
It does,
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
pretty good.
I did check that actually. The demo data doesn't include CIS, but it does do it. CIS Labour becomes one of the. You put in your CIS account details, and CIS Labour becomes one of the cost codes. And if you're doing CIS Labour, and then it generates the invoice perfectly, and it with the CIS at the bottom, and you can send it. It does it.
Currently on Sage, and does the Sage one do the CIS?
No, Free Agent does. Does Sage one do it? I don't think it does. No. Free Agent was the first one that did it. QuickBooks doesn't do it. Effectively, they all have workarounds with journals and all the rest of it, and it's a mess.
Yes.
QuickBooks, Xero does it perfectly.
But we can help you with that, Helen.
Yeah,
We can talk
yeah.
to you about your transitioning if you want to. Okay, so I'm conscious of time. A few people have already obviously had to go and get their cars out car park. So if you've got any more questions, find us afterwards. But I think we'll call it a day. And obviously we're available to you if you want to talk through anything. So thanks very much for coming. Hopefully it's been useful. Okay, thanks guys. Cheers.